I think we could potentially get a bit of an unexpected result. I think it will be going over to 3, but for MIBR, they've had a difficult time in Europe, so I want to give Renegades the edge, but honestly, this is a very, very tough series to call.
Yeah, and I think that was the next thing that we were going to go on about. Are you sticking to Renegades? I think I'm going to go with MIBR just because I see them just a tad stronger. And again, we double dualies in towards short here, in towards scaffolding. Works out for Yell to at least find one. His teammate was dropped. But still, boltz to find one through the smoke onto INS as well. Bomb plant is needed here. He's going to come through for aliStair.
Get that bomb down, but they can't even escape. What a shot through the smoke for boltz. And for MIBR, they've got a 4 versus 2. Ali and Sicko's just got to try and hold on the post plant. Decent kill coming through from the Glock, but it's all about wasting as much time as possible because he's lost his teammate, and MIBR just swing together. Great retake in. But boltz, how did he get so many kills through the smoke there?
Yeah, it was just insane. That first one is one thing, but then to actually find the second and the third towards the end was just one thing. And then, of course, Yell, the other player, with that dually. Don't really see the dual Berettas come out too much, especially not in a dual pairing. But at the same time, it works out for them. He's able to find one immediately and then finds one towards the end as well. I mean, plenty of bullets to work with. And right now, of course, Made in Brazil already up 1-0. They win that first pistol. And with that here on Vertigo, especially on the CT side, not looking all too bad for them, considering how you would want to start this game with CT side. So, I mean, it's already a good start into it. Renegades, though, back to the bomb plant, are going to be forcing up. Always 2 options there.
Very aggressive out towards ramp for the CT side, puts some early pressure on, and Yell just catches hats off, just trying to make a bit of a play in and around this smoke. So great opening advantage being won by the CT side. A lot of members over towards this ramp default to start off. Inns is trying to at least make a little bit of a play with Malta out to the B stairs, but for Exeter, he's not really swinging out wide, just getting some info.
Right now as well, Zico in towards mid, already getting a little bit of damage dealt, but he of course concedes a bunch as well. The question is he going to be here quick enough to actually hear some of the CTs already rotating over and maybe even making a call for the rest of the team, as he actually does meet up quite early with the team before heading up towards the B-bomb site. boltz is still ready and waiting here. Of course, both teams have only lost 1 player. aliStair down to 7.
Oh, just so much damage, isn't it? This guy, what a start this has been from Vertigo. Drop the bomb, allow the rotations to come over, and for Renegades, they are just getting picked apart. Another triple. boltz might even get the quad.
I mean, chances are good right now. Sure, Malta goes for another one of those smokes, but at the same time, already conceding damage through the smoke. And at the same time, yeah, boltz, I mean, I can respect as well that he does still try and go for that. It is going to be SHZ to actually find that final kill. But at the same time, it's nice for boltz to also stay alive, for them to basically only lose that 1 player and only having to reinvest 1 more weapon. Because, of course, on the CT side, you are always that vulnerable as well. If you do lose 2, maybe even 3 players in the second round, then the T's might even get to the point where it's worth it to further invest and to try and get another round, just because you can keep the pressure up and take a couple of weapons out. Right now, we are into a technical pause. Let's just hope that it is going to be quickly resolved and not a longer-term issue.
And you've got to imagine that there was some serious chats going on between both the in-game leader of MIBR of Yell and Apoka and Nak, you know, some of the support staff, the coach and the strategy coach as well, just to be able to get a bit of an idea of, okay, what went wrong in our best of 1? When you're up 15-11, you want to say that game's in your hands. That game should be closed out, and for them to not be able to be in that upper bracket best of 3 and instead sort of choke out that best of 1, coming into the best of 3 with a lot of positivity and a fresh mindset is really what the Brazilians need, and well, so far, boltz has been the guy.
Yeah, I think for one part as well, of course, it has been quite a while since that opening game, and they certainly had a little bit of downtime to, of course, reconvene, grab something to eat,
for sure,
and then just be all strong again for this next game. And I think they themselves have to be aware of the fact that losing up against Spirit, yes, can happen. At the same time, they should be strong enough at times as well just to be able to beat Renegades when it comes down to it, because both teams are, of course, a different caliber. And I think that also just in this early game, getting the first 2 rounds is exactly what you want for your own confidence on the side of Made in Brazil. Just because, sure, you know that you can win rounds, but one thing you have to keep in the back of your brain once the game comes to a close is that you could win rounds, because they choked pretty hard earlier.
And maybe a discussion we can kind of lean into as well is that for Renegades, competition, I would say, is easier in Oceania than maybe it is in South America right now. When you have a look at the Brazilian teams, they're really rising up quickly. We've got Furia out in the group stage. We've got Team 1 that have been playing here in the play-ins, and we've got Pain and Imperial making some decent inroads where for Renegades, it's sort of them. Yeah, you've got your order towards the high end. I know that they come over for a pro league every now and then and the odd IEM event that they qualify for. You've also got the old advanced side or now Direwolves. So the competition is slightly easier for Renegades. It doesn't take anything away with how successful they've been in the online era. But just in terms of maybe being tested in their own local scene, there is a difference in that regard between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, in general, I think the level of play is just higher for Made in Brazil and in general the Brazilian scene, and they can quite easily move from Brazil towards Mexico or the States just to then compete within North America as well. You do see it quite a lot of times, and even now during these COVID times, it has been a lot easier for them to then also travel back and forth between the Americas and then also Europe. Whilst at the same time, I mean, for the Australians, when you actually leave the country, it takes so much more effort and time, of course money then also, to get back into the country. You have to stay in designated hotels, work out that quarantine thing, and at least there, I mean, they've mostly been able to cope with the whole situation, but of course that has disconnected them on a global scale, whilst MIBR, of course, win the round here pretty straightforwardly up against Pistols.
Yeah, just a bit of a throwaway Glock crown. Chelo coming away with a 4K, but not really too much to it. Now we get into the meat of things. Obviously, the new AWPer of the team, aliStair, who had a fair bit of experience being a main AWPer for some of the previous teams. Chiefs that obviously played at the IEM Sydney event for a couple of years. Order as well. But then when he actually joined up with this team when Dexter left, he got transitioned into a little bit more of a rifler. Took that AWP away from him, but been a couple of role changes. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do out on the big green. MIBR, though, putting some early nades down towards this ramp position. They've been very successful with containing ramp so far.
And right now, aliStair still top of that smoke, finding chelo. And this might be the entry they need on the side of Renegades. Just to at least not let this game get out of hand. Show their opposition that they're there, that they're ready to pressure. And at the same time, Hat's here. Great spray down, just narrowly missing Yell on the other side. Thing is here. He re-smokes. There is still close here. Hats does finally find the headshot. A little bit of luck involved. Sometimes you need that luck to be on your side to find a secondary entry.
I guess it's just working with the sound cues, isn't it? Just hearing that smoke and the way that it popped and just trying to burst through the smoke, hope to get a little bit of a lucky shot off. And now they've got a 5v3. You can start scrambling the CTs a little bit. Even for Exeter, he's proper passive on the B side, almost defending mid and B stairs itself.
Right now already damage being dealt towards Exeter, and best probably to also fall back here as he does. So at least Made in Brazil could keep 3 players alive. That's going to be fine for them. I mean, Yell, he could by himself, so could chelo. I mean, theoretically, SHZ could die here as well. The main focus is just on boltz and Exit a little bit, just to make sure that they have the weaponry they need for that next round still to come. But I'd much rather see an early save and to be aware of your own situation, of your problems that you might be able to get in the next couple of rounds on that CT side, rather than just to go hunting in a 3-on-5.
Yeah, it's not really worth it at all. Just keep the economy strong, allow the buy-up to come through again. And for Renegades, that's a bit of a confidence booster, knowing that it was a difficult affair in those early few rounds. We get the rifles out, no one falls at all, and it is pretty convincing with some of those entries. aliStair in particular out towards ramp, getting that first shot off to the jump spotter. MIBR, though, not really going to be that many problems at all with the buy status. There might be some limitations with money in the reserve, but they'll be able to get the buy together. And chelo on the AWP, something that on the C stream we saw very minimal AWPing coming through from him.
Yeah, and in general, also, the AWPing hasn't been the biggest focus in our opening best of ones. I mean, sure, now in the best of three, just now, it did come through a little bit more for both sides, but at least not in the best of ones. A lot of it was just focused down towards rifles, and sure, that is always an area where, especially on Inferno, yes, you have tremendous chances to use a double AWP if you have the players that can utilize it to the full extent. But we also do see it time and time again where you might just prefer to be a little bit more mobile with those rifles, being able to rotate quite easily. If you do want a scoped weapon, then you might as well just go for the AUG, because, I mean, it's not massive ranges on Inferno either. And right now, INS taking damage, but at the same time, of course, chelo being forced back from his angle. Didn't quite concede as much damage, but of course, always scared when those first couple of shots come through.
And they're still getting aggressive about this. Yell is not giving up on this ramp position. And for MIBR, you've got to wonder how they're going to deal with Hats just behind the sandbags, because they want fights. They want to try and see if they can drive the T side out into the open. Hats making a couple of these down queues now. Yell's got a perfect opportunity to try and swing down. Inz has already been tagged up. Flash over the top. Can he get away with a couple of kills? Gets that first one. They know exactly where Inz is. Beautiful take a ramp.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. They still had that second Molotov burning and raging into that position. Sure, aliStair is towards mid, but even he'll be taken out. As they said, finds two. Malta out towards the B bomb site, only able to find exit and drop straight after. The CT's keeping 4 players alive, and that's what it's all about at times as well. Just making sure that you have some of those rounds that just work your own economy. And of course, now they're into a perfect spot when it comes down to it. And of course, Renegades themselves, yes, they can buy once more, but not exactly the idea they were thinking of when they just picked up a round.
And that was a very nice protocol. Love that ramp retake from Yell, and just made it look really simple too. Wasn't overcomplicated at all, wasn't too aggressive either. And just working with the util and working with the low HP players. MIBR, I mean, their whole just sort of influence out on CT is early nades towards ramp, keep pressure on, and don't allow Renegades to just take ramp easily. Otherwise, if they're going to try and take it, they're going to hit us hard.
Yeah, to be honest, like, those retakes in towards ramp can always backfire, but it worked out that time. And we'll have to see if it works out again, if Renegades even want to take early ramp control again. Right now, they're trying to go over towards B and exit, just keeping an eye on those stairs, keeping an eye on somebody moving up those railings. It's all about timing right now. Molotov's coming out, clearing out the close angle. Does exit get a support flash here? He does at least do damage. Even though Hats finds that trade, boltz is still here, and he's been strong this far in this map, but even Hats finding another. Now the advantage sets.
No, they're not interested, are they? 3v4. It's the safer option, and for MIBR, we did see a little bit of that on Inferno, where maybe situations in which the round could have still been worked a little bit, and if they get a kill, then they go in for it. But it seems like they are very safe in a lot of these situations. You're down by 1, the bomb gets planted, instantly safe. There's not even any hesitation about it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is set in their game plan as well. They know, okay, if they're down, and if the bomb is planted towards B, it's just not worth it to try and retake. So, I mean, this is something that, of course, your coach, your strat, said from the start, okay, well, guys, just don't challenge them. It's unnecessary just to lose weapons. We can save and then buy up on those other players, but then have the money at their disposal as well. And then, of course, you can just keep going like that. Sure, sometimes the retake might be possible, but at times as well, I like that smarter play rather than well, pretending to be smart and getting lucky once.
And for MIBR, we know that they've played a fair bit of Vertigo recently, had a loss to Iberian Family, beat Lingbing Vikings, and had an overtime loss only a handful of days ago up against Endpoint, which is another sort of Pro League level squad. So something to keep in mind, that while the win rate of Vertigo is slightly low, their games itself have been relatively competitive as well. It's their city side where they normally tend to sort of shine out and be a little bit stronger. SHZ just getting tagged up a little bit early, putting a nade down, just falling back. Renegades making a little bit more of a push towards the mid position this time in a default.
And that's actually a position where recently MIBR have been holding on to quite strongly as well. SHZ was able to grab 2 kills here earlier. boltz this time forced back off the angle. Nade coming into his position as well. Did take quite a lot of damage from it. right now the counter nade not really bringing through too much, but at least enabling one or two players to be down in reach of headshots for the M4s. However, chelo finding in towards ramp. I have to reconsider going towards a ramp right now here for Renegades.
They've got to flash him off angle. There's no way they can go in dry. Otherwise, they're just going to get picked apart by chelo. Use that utility and try and see if they can just force him to reposition. Flash comes in and doesn't even get a shot off. Just instantly repositioning. Smoke goes down to
I love this.
playing someone at sandbags.
And this, I mean, this'll just buy maybe 5 seconds. You know, okay, we have to be wary of that position. That's 5 seconds that Renegades might not have in this sort of situation. chelo finding Malta as well. Now the push has to come through. Nobody expects SHZ up high. And he finds 2. The second is nutty on the headshot up against Zico. But all down to aliStair, and 8 seconds still to go. Needs that bomb and currently doesn't have it. So it is going to be a Made in Brazil round. Loves that he chucks the nade out of the op out of the map. And nobody able to get to the op of chelo, but of course they can reinvest. And Renegades kind of out for a hit, especially when you look at Hats. Doesn't really have the money to invest.
And that was, again, another great protocol. I love that little bait play coming out for chelo, but even SHZ, he's sticking out like a sore thumb, isn't he? Right on top of the boost position. Flash comes in and just doesn't get checked, just gets overlooked completely, and it just allows him to get away with a couple of kills, sort of keep the tempo up, nades down towards that ramp position, heavy tank damage onto a couple.
Yeah, that's the thing right now. INS to find one on the Tech 9. Right now, the main objective is to try and get towards that site, try and get that bomb planted. Right now, might even be able to pick up a kill or 2. However, chelo keeping that site under lock. Malta's over towards the B-bomb site right now. All comes down to timing as they then finds INS and Hats here as well. Zico not being able to recover the bomb. And now Made in Brazil could just rotate over. You don't really need to re-peek as Malta finds exits. He's now in behind those Made in Brazil players, and even Zico to find the headshots, and all of a sudden it's turned back around.
How has this happened? So much damage has come through so far on this eco. boltz. He's got to be careful on how far he presses forward. Sticko just on the other side of the tarp. Wall. Bang! boltz! Oh my goodness, what a kill to come out onto Sticko. And for Malta, he is so low HP. Does boltz look back over towards the ramp position? What a clutch to come out for boltz. You can't play it. Unbelievable stuff. How does he manage that?
Well, the fact that Malta takes so long to rotate over, boltz thinks, well, he's certainly not coming through CT right now. If he's not here yet, then he might be coming from ramp. Checks in, finds that spray down. But I mean, that first kill up against Construction was just so insane. I don't know. I mean, just finding that headshot in the spray down straight through the tarps was tough. And I understand why Renegades take this time out. Just because it's all about maybe even having to refine their composure in this one.
Take a bit of a moment to have a chat with their new signed coach of Kingfisher. Most recently was coaching the Avant team, had a bit of experience with Legacy and Ground Zero. Also a player in the Australian scene, which does help in terms of credibility and game knowledge and things like that. Something that these guys, even when they were back as Greyhound, have always sort of struggled to keep coaches. I know they had Neil M in for a little bit. They also had Sonic coaching them for a couple of events, but it seems like they've never really sort of found that right fit for them. I wonder if this is the change that really gets things going. Well, now we go out of the tactical pause. We're going to see the AWP back in the hands of aliStair. But so far for MIBR, I've been well impressed with them on CT.
Yeah, and especially just that early presence over towards B stairs. This time actually playing 2 players over towards the B bomb site early on as well. chelo properly facing in towards mid as well, not really just all the way back. And generally, chelo has been using that off over towards the A-bomb site and not in towards mid. And they double peek it, and he still finds a kill, gets that alive at 94 HP. And all that damage that he did take was, of course, a little bit earlier still in this round. And the first Molotov buys more time, finds another. And don't tell me he's actually able to stay alive in this one.
Jeez, chelo, what a guy. He's just been so impactful out from mid. The way that he just changes up his angle every so often, just to create it a little bit tighter. Nade goes out towards that quad position. It might be able to force boltz towards the open. Smoke goes down. They know that he's here, but he's still trying to fight. And SHZ, he just bails him out with assistance.
Curious at the same time, I think it was SHZ who actually dropped that smoke, and then in the end gave him cover fire for him to actually retreat and fall back from it. Yes, both of them took a whole lot of damage, but they're able to find a kill, and they're able to both make it out alive here for the moment. So, I mean, sure, Zico and INS are trying to make their move now over towards this bomb site, and they're still expecting a player to be towards that back support. INS to fight both, finally dropping him down. Oh, and that smoke. There's certainly a gap there, as SH said. Finds INS, and now, of course, the time is at the essence is starting to run out. Finding that kill as well. No bomb plant for Renegades. 7-2 here for Made in Brazil.
Yeah, they're having it tough. This T side is under a lot of fire, and for MIBR, they've just been very good with their utility. They've been very good with some of their setups too. The way in which they're very baity. Like, we know the AWP of chelo has been very consistently winning opening man advantages, and what I love too with chelo is he's one of those players where if he gets a pick, yeah, he might go for a double face, but he'll never completely over-aggress. He's one of those AWPers that if he gets success, he'll keep it.
One big part in this game right now as well is just the continuing aggression from those, as I said, does find Zico once more, does have a gap, repeats for it, doesn't really need to go for it, to be honest. Yes, it is only up against those Deagles, but the fact that they do get kills early, INS, yes, they will trade back, but still, 3-on-2. And yet again, I mean, Made in Brazil have now won 3 rounds in a row, looking to make it 4. And that would then be the lead in towards halftime. And the big question here is, how big can that lead actually be?
Hat's just hoping for a little bit of an overextension from one of the MIBR players, hoping that maybe he can catch SHZ, Yell, that low HP player, out towards the yellow position. boltz even just trying to set up a bit of a crossfire with him from the top of orange, but yeah, really, without any armor, it's going to be a very difficult position to get anything done. You're going to have to just hit the instant headshot or at least just find that instant trade. MIBR, though, looking to go 8-2 up on the CT side of the Renegades as map pick. Hats does even pre-aim towards the left-hand side. He does, but the aim punch hurts him. Yell still survives on 5 HP.
Yeah, I mean, even his peak seemed just slightly off, and then by that time, 1 bullet would have been enough. A 10th of a bullet would have been enough, it feels like, just to find Yell. All you have to do is breathe on him and he already falls, but still able to survive. And yet again, Made in Brazil, able to keep 3 players alive. And of course, on the CT side, that means you do make a net profit. And of course, with that, yes, their money isn't great. I mean, for Made in Brazil, if they lose 1 round, then Renegades get another chance straight back into it. But the likelihood of that happening, the way that Made in Brazil is playing it right now, is just very, very low. As they seem to just have the perfect adaptation every time that they actually make it here in towards top ramp. Made in Brazil just fall back and say, well, okay, take that map control. We'll try and find another way.
You've got to wonder who is going to pre-aim this position from SHZ. Someone's going to be looking that way, and Hans, well, he's the guy to at least spot out for it. It's a good find coming through for the Renegades, but for MIBR, what's left up their sleeve? Because they've still got a couple of players on A.
I think the most important part is Exit that also still has a smoke. chelo right now holding onto the B bomb site. No presence there from Renegades just yet. Can they force them back though, as kills coming out both ways? Zico finds one on the nade, but still the advantage stood for Made in Brazil. boltz now coming in from behind. And it's all about this timing. They're gonna contend this, even though the bomb has now been planted. Nade coming out. boltz all about his timing, and Malta has already spotted him out, finds that kill without any event. And chelo falls back, wants to save this up. To be honest, for Renegades, yes, they don't have all the money in the world, but I think it'd almost be worth it just to try and hunt this down.
MIBR are going to be reset really hard. Yell's got no money, boltz doesn't really have a lot. chelo's got some, but you're right about holding onto this AWP. It really could mean everything. chelo, He's got to be careful if he even try and hunts out to try and deal with this AK. Molten doesn't quite check that right-hand side, so few players do fall for the tease. And really, that duel onto the backstabbing boltz was pretty much just the round winner from there. And it all came down to who was going to be in the right position at the right time, who was going to be able to face first. And for boltz, just not pre-aiming out towards the top of tarps allows Renegades to get up to 3. But for MIBR, this is the first time, really, this entire first half where money hasn't looked good.
Yeah, and I think that the money management looked decent in their opening best of 1 as well. From what I can remember back then, they generally had a decent time just keeping their money going and having a chance to keep on going with their buys. And right now, they have been losing a whole lot of players. Chelo right now aiming in towards the bomb site, trying to be aggressive. They pretty much didn't invest anything apart from what they had. So Chelo dropped his deagle, boltz now ruling with that, and then everybody else was on the USPs. A nade and a flashbang, that's all they get. Of course, can work out, usually doesn't. Renegades should have a straightforward round, but either way, Made in Brazil, they have the lead. I think they'd be happy if they get 1 or even 2 more rounds. They'd certainly be happy with anything on top of that.
For MIBR, you're probably on the money. I think if they get to 10, they'd end the half saying, okay, this is comfortable, this is definitely workable, because we know at times their T-side can lag, so already being up 8-3 is a decent scoreline for them. Chelo, he was just trying to make a bit of a play with the AWP. The shot doesn't quite come through onto Inns. Instant punishment when he misses it.
Yeah, a little bit of movement still for him. Yell is going to be able to recover, though, and might still be very dangerous here. Of course, they expect him here because they've known now that the AWP is gone. However, boltz chimes in as well, and it's all about timing now. Yes, there's still 35 seconds, so plenty of time for Renegades. If they find 1 more kill, either on the deagle or on the AWP here, then all of a sudden, he's looking a little bit more dire. Yell goes for a wide peek. Does at least find the damage being returned here by aliStair. They now know that boltz is in behind. The headshot comes through. They even find that kill. That's Naked recovered. And what's happening here is Weg.
Oh, but they're going to try and get the bomb down, but 3-on-2 advantage. The AWP just trying to see if they can get a shot through the smoke, and exit deals with aliStair. It all comes down now to Inns to try and get the clutch together, and MIBR have done it on an eco. All they had was that saved in AWP, and they missed the first shot. They were down in a 3-on-5. Oh, Exit gets away with 3. Yell was doing damage with the AWP. What is that? Oh my goodness.
And they didn't even buy armor.
I know.
And I think that's the most insane part. Renegades just lost to a deagle and an AWP. The AWP didn't have any impact whatsoever from Chelo, but as soon as Yell picked it up, he dealt damage. And then the whole fact that they find that kill with the USP onto Malta in behind. And then the round crumbles from there, and we've talked about the fact that 10 rounds would be great for Made in Brazil. Watch out, they might make it 11 or 12.
Yeah, honestly, it's a very, very big possibility. And that backstab for Malta, you can only imagine in the comms for Renegades, it's just like slow down. Like, just allow Malta to do his own thing, get in the backline, he'll be able to get a couple of kills. But just the way that the USP just strays out wide, gets that instant dink, and then just has the confidence to go forward and take the shot. That's a very disappointing round for Renegades. And for MIBR, that's a gift, an absolute gift.
And I think the one thing that hurts most right now is Renegades. Yes, they've been able to win rounds, but it's always just been single rounds, not able to actually string rounds together. And how are you going to break the CTs? And it felt like they already had broken the CTs with that previous round. And then, all of a sudden, they just make it happen on unarmored USPs and an unarmored eagle and an AWP that just falls because he's still moving, and it still works out for the Brazilians. Renegades right now, they needed that timeout. We'll have to see if it actually makes a difference, because of course the previous one was taken at a scoreline of 6-2. And since then, things have certainly turned worse.
A little bit of a sound cue being made out from mid, but for Renegades, the lack of consistency is probably what's hurt the most here on T-side. Yeah. Being able to use some of this util out towards mid. boltz just trying to see if he can work through the smoke. Inns at least gets the entry.
And he does find a double as well. He's like, okay, well, you might be able to beat us on a couple of pistols, but still, we'll be in there and we'll punish it straight away. Any hopes that you had are going to be reset. The big question is, how do those B players get back into this game? Because right now, Yell might seem like he's in trouble.
Oh, do they check it? They've
Do
got
they
no
check?
volley. Hats doesn't quite see him. Malta at least gets the instant trade.
If he would have found a second, then all of a sudden this round is doable for the rest of his teammates. I'd rather see a save in towards T-spawn for the moment. And that seems to be their game plan as well. Do they expect a player in towards mid? chelo might just drop, depending on timing, as Ince is out on top here. Maybe seconds before he actually spots him out. And there you go. Open back. Where is the other player, though? I can find that headshot quite comfortably. There's the other. And the double as well, making it 4 for him in the round. Comfortable, but now into a back and forth.
Yeah, that's a smart play for Inns. I like the trigger discipline there towards the end of the round, just making sure, yeah, it's a freebie, but what more is there? Where's the crossfire? There's no way an AWP's just going to be sitting there in T-Sport alone. There's got to be a teammate of some description. But yeah, just a double entry out from mid, and maybe that kind of shows for Renegades. They need a little bit more of a playmaker. They need someone to open up, create a little bit of space in these rounds, something they have missed, just like that Molotov from Malta.
And those are the sorts of mistakes that you're not allowed to make. We criticize that a little bit with MIBR, but especially with Spirit at the top of our day. And right now, at least In's able to find one chelo to trade back, but he will fall to Hats towards the end. And right now, Renegades should be able to make it 5. And then still, Made in Brazil doesn't really have the weaponry nor the money to buy up. So it may look like the Australians are going to be able to make it 6 before the halftime actually comes through.
Yeah, MIBR are playing a little bit of a risk here. SHZ with that Deagle, just trying to see if he can get a bit of an info gathering. But even for Hats, he's made his way close towards the A site, and they have used no info. Finally, a little bit of a sound cue being made, but that's all that they've got.
Right now, Smokes coming through Molotov as well. SHZ is going to be close. They certainly heard him before. The fact that he gets one might have just delayed that a little bit. boltz and exit still find something though. 30 seconds here to go. Exactly where boltz is currently at. The bomb's not going to get stopped. Exit yet again coming in from behind, and he's too little too late now. And it's best to try and save.
Yeah, that calls it, doesn't it? As soon as boltz falls, just hold on to that M4. And for MIBR, their money, again, isn't in a very good state. These last 3-4 rounds or so, they've had a very much broken economy on their city side. Struggled to get the rifles in, so even going into round 15, it's not going to be the best of buyers in the world. And for Renegades, did feel like it was a very slow start here on Vertigo. We had that 2-8 deficit at one point. Exit maybe just trying to go for some of those wallbang shots, but not being able to find any connections. And very characteristic to their best of one. Again, 0-9 down on the city side against Vitality in that best of one. Came back to at least get 6 rounds in total, but you can't really afford to get off to slow starts, especially in Europe.
And I think that's one part, sure, they might be able to get away with up against Made in Brazil, but other teams are still in this tournament are certainly going to punish them a lot more than they are punished here. And I mean, it is looking fine for them just to make it 6, as of course Made in Brazil, they're down to an M4, 2 Deagles, 2 SMGs, and not really a whole lot when it comes down to nades. They're already looking for heads above those smokes, and right now not connecting just yet. He's spotting anyone out just yet, and the sprays as well. And collecting damage on the side of Renegades.
Oh, Yell. Fortunately, just missed that
timing is
there.
so unfortunate.
Yeah, it doesn't help at all. boltz just hoping for a bit of a walk back, but then ends in the smoke. What is this round for Renegades?
The fact that he just goes for the spray, fully confident, yep, someone's behind there. Where else should they be hiding? Certainly they have
Be difficult. The bomb just going to go down now for Hats, and even eyes are out towards this lower B stairs position. Inns with the AK looking to be onto the Deagle. SHZ does get away with one, so that's a little bit of something, but a little bit more has got to be found. Missed all shot comes through for aliStair, a resmoke, and they just waste time for Renegades to get 6 at the half. Well, 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 Renegades at least making it competitive towards the back end of that second half, but it's still a 9-6 lead up for MIBR. And you've got to imagine now they come over to T-side. If they can regain some of that confidence, Tyler, they could be back to be the dominant force.
Yeah, surely it all starts here in the pistol, of course. They lost the first pistol, ended up losing the follow-up 3, and of course then were able to grab one, went into a little bit of back and forth tussle, and at the end of the day, still, MIBR came out on top, were able to make it 9, and looked so confident to maybe even make it more, but Renegades somehow came back, made it very close going into halftime, and now it's time for the pistol, and Malta already find the first, and further damage from the rest of the team as well.
Oh, Tico getting overwhelmed, but he still finds a couple of kills. Hans even getting involved there as well. Exit just being charged down by all the CTs out towards the B stairs. And well, if that isn't a statement, I don't know what is.
I don't think we've had a single map thus far today on the C stream where the pistols have not been split between both teams. We saw it earlier in the best of 3 as well. Sure, that ended up being one-sided. But actually, I take that back. Made in Brazil won both of their pistols up against Spirit in our opening game here.
Unfortunately for them, like without a bomb plan and without doing damage, you can't force it up on Vertigo. Instead, just block it out, let the farming come through from a couple of these MP5s out for Renegades, but get the rifles in early, and for aliStair, if he can set up a crossfire, this could just be a Mo affair.
I'm actually surprised that we do see the MP5s come out in full force right now, though. Also, the first little bit of... So maybe now Brazil can do the same with a strat on their own T side. One thing, though, that's missing is the utility. Yes, they do have smokes, they do have Molotovs as well, but a single flash? And no money left to buy another? I'd have rather wanted maybe boltz to just not have a smoke and have a double flash setup.
Yeah, even potentially see one of the riflers go to a Galil rather than an AK, but yeah, it's a little bit more of a dry round in the sense when you do have low utility. SH there thinking about making a little bit of a move up towards ramp, but as soon as that re-smoke comes in,
by Yell. Still level. An M4 being taken out. 4 AKs up against 2 M4s and 2 FAMASs. Of course, the CTs still have a lot more utility. And Brazil have, what, 2 smokes and 2 volleys? 2 maybe go B. But even for B, it's kind of not that much utility.
They need a bit of just a deal, really. The late sort of contact came in. Some really good duels get one out there by MIBR. Renegades just trying to push through the smoke, try and make it really chaotic on the site and just run the clock. And it makes a lot of sense, especially when that bomb's going down with 4 seconds left. You really do want to try and scramble it. But unfortunately, they run into just a crossfire of so many AKs. One more tactical left for Renegades, and you've got to wonder to themselves, what are they thinking about? First thing has got to be the economy, I guess. Yeah,
I think that's the biggest part right now for the CTs. You can't really buy in this one. I mean, you could force down just to all be at the same level, but then do you force down all the way? Do you just force down to 2K? It seems to, of course, since they don't have any loss bonus to build on, you're going to force down all the way, grab a couple of D-Eagles alongside the 2 M4s that they already have at their disposal. Yeah, but the thing is right now, they also just have 1 timeout left remaining. And if this doesn't work, they might have to take that one quick before Made in Brazil just start to run away with it.
No, whatever happens, setting up the M4s has got to be the main objective here for Renegades. Just try and get the pistols as a little bit more of a bait setup. Boost coming through from Malta to get some eyes down in towards that ground position itself. Sticko actually being able to open up out from mid onto boltz.
That's one way to take a player out early. I love the fact that they actually managed the things here with the weapons. Chelo is there, grabs the AK, throws it all the way back, throws it out of the map as well. And the nade here might just do it. It does do a little bit less damage than I expected, but still brings Malta down to 47, aliStair down to 71 as well. Might just be a little bit easier to kill here.
That volley out towards the sandbags position. So much spam trying to come through for the Brazilians, but none of those bullets connecting as of yet. And for Malta, someone's going to have to check there's a head being seen. The angle gets fouled. Malta fires a little bit too early and doesn't capitalize. Only gets SHZ down low.
Again, thought he had him, but he did then shoot a little bit too early as they were still jiggling that angle without even knowing it. So they were trying to jiggle on towards the A-bomb site right now, though. Defensive lineup and still that danger. aliStair finally gets taken out as chelo is down to 7 HP himself. SHZ, of course, down to 3 HP, so it's definitely trouble here for Made in Brazil as suddenly the kills come out from the Deagles and they make it happen. Renegades straight back in, and with a couple of Deagles, make this round go their way. Made in Brazil take a timeout themselves. And we've seen 3 timeouts in a span of 3 rounds.
And the man from Malta really being able to step up in that round. We saw the early contact not quite going his way, doing a lot of damage onto SHZ, but him repositioning and when that bomb getting planted, having the confidence just run through that smoke, deny that from going down, and just being able to follow up the best that he can, ends up with a triple in that round. And I will say that in the second half, it does get a little bit more sloppy and scrappy from both teams. We're seeing a lot more later rounds, a lot more of these sort of ways in which Renegades are trying to force MIBR to run the clock, just create a lot of chaos out to the A side. Even at B, like we haven't seen MIBR make a lot of plays out to that B side.
Yeah, and they might just have to take that a little bit earlier in the game as well, rather than just going too late. Might be a little bit of the problem right now as well.
Yeah, boltz. He's got to be the guy to really be able to create as much impact as possible when you go for a hero AK round. But even for Sicko, how does this get pre-aimed? boltz being boosted up, needs to find the instant connection. Oh, he still gets away with it and only gets tagged up to about half HP there.
It is just ridiculous what both teams right now, time and time again, on the Deagles are able to do. Look at him though. I mean, aliStair not giving this up just yet, wanting to still find something here in towards ramp, is still quite aggressive. Nobody on the side of Made in Brazil actually able to punish that as of yet.
A bit of a boost
right
up.
Now, all about the timing for Hats. Did he just see something obvious? He did. Goes for the spray down, all working out for him. I love this as well, to now go close distance. Sure, that smoke covering things off now. His position is known, but he's already found the kill that he was looking for. Smoke, both players now close range. Hat works things out. Malta drops to chelo. That's an AK in his hands right now. Bomb, of course, all the way back, and 10 seconds still to go. Guess what? There's a player keeping an eye on you. And chelo. Oh, and it's all about the timing. Can aliStair kill him after time? Does go for it, but chelo's got it locked down. At least that works out for him.
All in all, MIBR, you'd have to say they'd be happy with that round. You take that as a hero AK, you upgrade a couple of Deagles here or there. Yes, the AK gets saved in again, but you get away with 4 kills, and it probably just comes down to realizing the time's just not there. You know that they could be on the side. Just try and see if you can hold on to that AK, force out another fight, and aliStair does swing forward. No AWP potential as of yet for the CT economy. Tied up 10-10 though, and for MIBR, you've got to start wondering what's going on here, because they had a big lead to work with.
Right now, though, of course, it's all about this early game. Yet again, just see what you can do. Made in Brazil had the control over it towards the ramp. Time and time again, it seems like all they know is this ramp. As right now, yet again, they don't try and go towards B early on. They haven't really tried too much in towards mid either. Right now, sure, damage being dealt onto Malta.
Oh, ends. A couple of times they've been playing a sandbags player. MIBR don't have a molly, so I wonder how they deal with it, because they're going to have to check the position.
The thing is, right now, especially for Made in Brazil, they don't really have a Molotov take inside a position. It would be funny just to smoke him in and see how he reacts to it right now, though. aliStair, first one to take damage. It's all about this first entry. It's all grabbing that first kill, maybe even escalating into a second. And there you go, SHZ does finally find it. However, Ins has now been spotted as well. His timing just a tad off. And as Yell continues, this is now down to 3 players, losing players bit by bit, and all down to Hats, as Made in Brazil seem to at least regain control here to have the lead. Of course, since halftime, most of the rounds have been going the way of Renegades. Just if this pattern continues, then Renegades will be taking the lead just 2 rounds away.
Well, for MIBR, I love how once they get that info onto Ins, they don't really panic with it. Instead, they allow Renegades to panic. So they kind of keep eyes out on sandbags, but they're also keeping a lot of eyes out on the site just to see, okay, well, what are the CTs going to do about this? Are they going to try and push forward? Are they going to try and assist Ins the best that they can? And eventually, they just all fall completely. Hats is just saving onto the org. Moneyline is not in a best of state at all. You've got 3 players on double eco status. Malta, Sicko, and Ins have no money whatsoever. So on 1900 loss bonus, you've got to see a force buy here.
Yeah, that's the big thing right now, that they've even made this work, though, with a couple of Deagles before. So, I mean, why not? At the same time, like, you don't really have the timeout still to take to really, like, get into a better state of mind to maybe get straight back into this one. But at the same time as well, for Made in Brazil, so much is riding on this round and the round still to come. Because right now, this is do or die for them. And if they make it to 13, then it might get a whole lot more difficult for the Australian side.
How well do these nades get timed? A little bit early coming through for the Renegades to not be able to deal any early damage onto the ramp players just outside of the forklift. But for MIBR, you've got to wonder at what point do we see a little bit more of working that mid default or out towards the B stairs, because it just seems that it's very two-dimensional in the sense that it's just ramp take after ramp take after ramp take. I wonder when the variation comes and when that actually does catch the Australians off guard.
Yeah, and right now as well, sure, you do not have all the money in the world to invest into this round, and they certainly haven't. At the same time, for Made in Brazil, it's always so volatile as well. A Scout, a Deagle can certainly bring the damage through.
Oh, couple
right
big
now,
kills.
yet again though, just these entries for Made in Brazil are so strong. That's just where it might end quickly. 2 players already in behind, actually in those back lines, spreading Made in Brazil in half recently. Sicko, though, all about his timing here and also what Ins can do. It should be in behind these players. Bomb is going to get dropped, and right now still a decent chance. Sicko falls back. Ins as well is very important into that position. Still roaming around. Yeah, it's unfortunate that Malta then goes a little bit too aggressive. And if he just holds defensively a little bit further, then everything could have worked out so much better here.
Just opt to go for the save. Renegades, they had the right info play when Sicko went down ladder and just try and slow the whole round down, but SHZ, he's been a joy to watch today, honestly, and he's a guy that, at least speaking from the performances we've seen from MIBR in their short little stint in Europe that we've seen recently, and even back home, he's not normally a standout player. Instead, it's more so chelo and boltz that really shine as the 2 sort of high-impact players, but SHZ's had a fantastic tournament so far.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. I mean, his first map earlier as well just looked so strong from his side. And to be honest, I mean, if it wouldn't have been for him at times as well, then it might not have been so close. Sure, the rest of the team came through towards the end as well. I mean, Exit was right up there with him at 32 kills, and he was looking a lot stronger as well. Of course, when it comes down to their usual performances, he showed up a bunch more than what I personally expected for sure. That's been reflected in our stats. Even Exit, though, had a stronger first game than what he's usually known for. Right now, lagging a little bit behind, could certainly do more, but right now the rest of the team is all at a comparable level, especially when it comes down to, as I said, Yell and Chelo.
Just try to see if they can force a little bit of a mistake for Renegades, get a bit of an overextension just to allow the easy fight to get that 5-on-4. They've been quite disciplined though on this CT side. Nades coming up, not really many fights being taken, instead just being quite passive and deep. There is a little bit of an info play going over towards the beast. There's the M4 thinking about a rotation.
It's the right call to make, maybe just fall over. Hat can still keep an eye out and could be an early warning system to try and pull back the M4 in time. Do they even switch? Does Malta go over at 6 HP? And then, yeah, they push on the rifle towards the A-bomb side. That way they at least can still have somebody keeping an eye on. As bit by bit also, Hat has been starting to push in towards the holes on the lower deck right now, though. So Made in Brazil are moving in. Renegades are into a decent spot with this setup. And with time being as low as it is, there might be a chance just to cause panic with those Deagles, with that CZ and the M4 right now, though. The headshots coming through immediately for Made in Brazil. And in the end, it is then just too tough for them. Hats, though, what can he do? Finds one, almost finding a second there as well. At least pull the focus. Does he have the chance, though? So much damage dealt. But they're maybe missing a player in this sort of situation to make things happen.
There's no way Hats gets out of this alive. They know exactly where he is. He's sandwiched in, and for USP, just looking for anything more. And it's a decent round for Renegades. Again, MIBR, they've loved running the clock. They have seen some very, very late executes towards this A side. And at times, you do start biting your fingernails a little bit, getting a bit nervous of just how close they are taking some of these rounds, but winning some very interesting fights. And even that M4 just didn't get a massive amount of involvement in that round. More so just the USP from Hats on the backstab trying to deny that bomb, but maybe just being a fraction of a couple of seconds too late. 13-10, Renegades. This is almost do or die for me. They have to convert here in round 24. Otherwise, the Brazilians may just have what it takes to just run away with Vertigo.
Well, the Brazilians will surely just take the point that they actually make it towards overtime at least. And sure, they might then yet again have problems closing things out as they did up against Spirit, but at the same time, right now here for Renegades, I mean, they are broke if they lose this round. Sure, lost bonus is certainly now developed to become a thing, but I mean, you're just going to be down to a couple of pistols and then using that lost bonus to its full extent and buy to stop them from actually reaching OT. Closing the game out on the MIBR side and to try and keep on going for an OT. On the Renegade side, on the push from aliStair as well, in towards Ram. They check it. He's going to be aware of SHZ being close. I'd prefer him not to push. Nice way to collect info, but then just to fall back because it's not worth it.
Just hold on to the 5v5. Spam coming in so close to SHZ's position. Both players trying to have a little bit of a crack between one another, but it's actually a mid-walk, something we haven't really seen by the T's.
I mean, they needed to change things up anyway. I mean, Stico right now already ready for this. However, the Molotov is going to catch him out, but him and Malta lock things down towards B-bomb site. At least the bomb is still in towards mid and able to be recovered for boltz. What can SHZ do? How deep can he go? Then being challenged, has to fully spray down as he's full blind. But the time is of the essence and it's certainly run down already. Made in Brazil have to just try and stay alive.
Oh, aliStair, how late does he
the
peek
money
into
as
the
well.
angle? Oh, okay. Goes the way of the T side, so they don't lose a player after time, but maybe...
He loses a rifle.
Yeah. It's worse than...
necessary.
Yeah, I guess you want to try and target the economy the best you can. You want to try and break them, but you are sort of right because it has been built up to a decent level here. I look at the whole situation though for MIBR.
He's had like $7,000 on every player.
Yeah.
Or like 3 on the players. So I think that's like the biggest part that's just conflicting for me because I mean, yes, sure, 3 of the CTs survived and that is enough.
Yeah.
But it is going to put one player on missing a little bit of utility.
Yeah, definitely true about it. But Yeah, I do look at the T-side approach for MIBR. I know that we've been saying, oh, maybe a bit more variation, maybe some more leniency out towards mid and B, but after seeing how that round panned out for MIBR, I'm almost thinking to myself, maybe it just has to keep being ramp defaults and takes towards the A side, because that's where they've been the most successful in this second half.
How it comes down, of course, made in Brazil. Seeing how far they can get. I mean, that was the key round for Renegades, as we already said. So, I mean, it is their chance to now stay in the game, maybe come back even further, tie things up before one of these two teams actually makes, or before made in Brazil makes it to 15. We always knew that we're going to have a tough game on our hands, especially here on map 1. As well, not connecting. And Yell, that might be a little bit of a sense of just false security. Because, of course, INS every single time could just go over. And they've spotted him out, though. How is he even still alive? How is aliStair still alive? At 4 and 5 HP, respectively.
Oh, they've done so much damage. aliStair, no! The molly actually bounces away from the sandbags and doesn't go into aliStair's position, so he survives for just a little while longer.
Surely they have a nade.
Yeah, there we go. That's going to force him out in the open. That's an easy kill eventually, but now with ins as low as they are, Renegades have to make a little bit of a play. They've got to fight for this advantage.
And the big thing speaking for Renegades right now is time. And it certainly is tight right now. However, SHZ needs that kill. How does he fall? And still, I mean, Yell able to salvage this all down to Seiko in that smoke. Can he be the last second hero to try and deny? But of course, that smoke is going to start dissipating any second. And they spotted him out already. chelo to find it, and it is going to be 14. We've talked about money before. I think even here, the difference is going to be felt from having one rifle saved from the previous, because he would have had a little bit more money to distribute an extra deagle or two in this round.
MIBR, even a player trying to wrap into yellow, just accidentally jumping while trying to spray down, but again, just cracking those entries. They've been phenomenal with some of the entries out towards that A site on the takes, and well, for Renegades, they realized we're kind of in double eco status. We don't want to be playing for OT, so go big or go home. They're forcing him round 26.
I love this as well, just from Made in Brazil yet again, just always the same approach, always just in towards ramp, pre-fire. Always the same angles to go for. And I actually like the fact that they haven't been focusing in towards that scaffolding area nearly as much as they did prior. Sure, SHZ does find the first kill here again. That's just coming down to Malta being so much more aggressive. SHZ finding aliStair as well before anybody from ramp actually goes for a peek. And he wasn't expecting that. Oh, all now down to the decals, and In's at least keeping his team going and giving them an inch.
Hats. Ooh, Sicko's got a bit of a backstab. It all just comes down to time wasting. The thing is, for MIBR, is anyone going to be watching this backstab eventually when they start opening up the bomb side? Smokes are going to start dissipating. Nade perfect onto Hats' position. That does about 50 points of damage, but 40 seconds left. They've got lots of time to get the bomb down. Hats at least deals with one, but Exit on the side finds the trade. They pick the bomb back up. Renegades have got both players here on A.
Yeah, right now, Hats just chilling here for the moment. INS has now come back to, of course, help him out. The bomb is slowly but surely crossed over towards the bomb site. Can they also get the plant down? Yell with the bomb on his back does find Incident, just not even interested in trying to get that bomb plant. It's all about finding that final kill. And in the end, it's Made in Brazil, 15-11, 4 rounds to try and close things out. Just the bigger question is, can they? And of course, they had such a big problem trying to close things out up against the guys from Spirit in their best of one. They had so many chances in regular time, ended up losing 4 in a row, so similar position here. And had a 3-0 lead in overtime, 18-15, ended up losing it, 18-22. Just came out of nowhere.
Malta, he's getting that trade onto SHZ, but aliStair is just hoping for something above that smoke, hoping for a little bit of an angle to be created, getting close to that shot in towards the ramp itself. MIBR, though, oh, they're waiting for the aggression. Sticko has done this consistently.
Yeah, and right now, yet again, yeah, Sticko going for it. They have the advantage here now. They can collect weapons. I mean, they have the advantage going forward as well into that next round. Of course, money is great, especially when you look at, as I said, almost $9,000. He'll have it at the end of the round. Exit can buy himself without any problems. Yell can buy himself and a teammate without any problems. So boltz and chelo kind of being down and out for the moment. They could still buy themselves a rifle. They've just been missing utility. And with the support from their teammates, certainly still the best of chances. But in a 4v2, they're trying to take weapons away from the CTs. Of course they are over towards this B-bomb site, but boltz losing a lot of HP. Same story goes here for chelo. As soon as he actually goes to the peak, Malta's locked the door behind on 20 seconds. Not thinking about rotating. It's all about brute forcing. It doesn't work.
MIBR in a situation where there's so much money, so they're just going to keep buying up and buying up. Eventually, that loss bonus is going to start kicking in. But for Renegades, it's all about surviving, bringing it to OT, and then just being able to focus on the rest after that. The amount of AKs, too, for the CT side to work with. 3 in total for Sicko hats and ins. MIBR, though, you've got to imagine, you've just got to be back over towards this ramp take. And for Renegades, you've just got to take it 1 round at a time.
Yeah, for Renegades especially, they've never really had the money to go too far onto ops on their own CT side. They've never really been able to win rounds consecutively in this second half, only massing up to finding 2. That was around the piss round as well, so I mean, not exactly the best there. aliStair is going to find Yell. Actually surprised that no trade comes out. No even return shots really ring out from Made in Brazil. Despite just be second guessing themselves as well. Always a problem, of course, if you've already struggled to close out a game before.
And more of this spam coming through. aliStair just doing a little bit further chip damage into SHZ, and for Renegades, they have kind of given up the information a little bit that there is a player out towards that sandbags position. So as soon as that smoke starts to dissipate, get a flash out for ins to try and work. Malta even thinking about aggressing.
He's actually going for it here. The question is, can they punish? Of course, they're only... I mean, it is a 4-on-4. It is literally anybody's game, and sure, I mean, the T's, as soon as if they lose this round, then they will certainly have problems, but aliStair does get caught. However, Sticko, perfect flashbang finds 2. Malta's able to chime on as well, all down to exit in a 1v2. With 20 seconds, might still be able to isolate this one. But oh, it is going to come down to Malta grabbing it here for Renegades, and this game is just becoming so close once more. And it is just smelling like OT.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a massive surprise when you have a look at how MIBR's best of 1 went. And look, take the tactical, calm your head, because you can't throw away another lead, can you? Like, for it to happen twice in one day, it's unacceptable. They've had many opportunities now on Vertigo to close out, and they've struggled to do so. Renegades now, like you mentioned, they haven't really had a massive amount of opportunity to get that orb forward. They've got Ali on it going into round 29. And for MIBR, what's the play here? Just half buy, 2,400 loss bonus, try and do some economical damage, try and take that AWP away, drop one of the AKs that have been recovered, and if they can get a bomb plant, that would just be an extra bonus.
The thing is here, literally any kill already is going to hurt Renegades as well. And sure, they might be able to rebuy and without any problems, without any incident, just because they win the round, of course. But if they lose more than 2 or 3 players, that last round of this first map might get really, really tough for them. Right now, though, aliStair already picking up SHZ. They're expecting more towards stairs right now. attacks. Perfect position for him. Has already seen spotted players out, and there you go, Nico to support as well. And the fact that Molotov comes in, of course, splits those T's up for a good second. Enables further kills, enables further damage, and Nico again fully flashed. Finds a double. Tries to exit. I mean, 2 kills.
What do you
Could
add
be
to
plenty
that
for them.
Yeah, it's economical damage as best as they can, but for Renegades, it's all about the confidence, being able to sort of string these rounds together. And for MIBR, we know that they've got, what, one of those tacticals left. Renegades have used all of theirs. Going into round 30, we're going to even see a Galil down onto boltz and for chelo. So the buy in round 30, it's not perfect.
Yeah, like for Renegades, and what is aliStair doing right now? Already clearing out B, very, very aggressive. And don't think that boltz has actually heard any of this.
Oh, no way!
Going for the check, the timing! And aliStair, so quick as well to find, as they said, and this might have just been the decisive moment of this first map that brings Renegades straight back in.
Oh, it's gotta
and
be!
And Ings finds Yell as well. And we're going to OT, surely.
Oh, there we are, 15-15. MIBR not closing it out, but we're gonna head to a break.
Always night and never day. Even when I wash the floor, the dust still comes. Keep on hunting for the bread, no matter how lost. Need no light, no spark, I'm in line mode. With my eyes closed, I can see in the dark. I'm a quiet storm, far from calm. I know you feel me, brother. Seems like I can't get away from the hot sun. Always night, it's never day. Even when I watch the floor, the dust will come. Keep on hunting for the prey, no matter how lost. Need no light, no spark, I'm in line mode. With my eyes closed, I can see in the dark. I'm a quiet storm, far from calm. I know you feel me, brother.
Continuing on then with Made in Brazil up against Renegades, and what a regular time here. Swag, the thing is Made in Brazil gonna win 3 rounds again just to lose?
You really hope not, right? It can't be the same storyline as the best of one. Renegades, though, bringing it back from the absolute brink, looking to start things off with aliStair with the AWP, picking off that first kill. Yell getting the instant trade, and now we've got a little bit of tempo coming into OT.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane right now to at least find early entries. Maybe this is now the way to go. Pick up the pace, keep it there as well. But right now, aliStair moving in towards that ramp area, in towards Carb. How aggressive do you actually go, and how far should you maybe hold back? As right now finds one, falls back immediately, of course, holding towards the site. Perfectly done, and him and Sicko, as soon as they have the ops at their disposal, Renegades seem to be unstoppable in this one. The way they just build things up on their CT side is insane. And right now, of course, I mean, a couple of AKs could have been collected, but I think they all stuck to their M4s and AUGs.
Lads, why didn't you bring out the AWP earlier? Honestly, we saw so many
because
rounds
they didn't have money.
Yeah, you do make a good point. Money was always a bit of a struggle, and we got very, very minimal action with the AWP, but now we get into OT, it's like, right, let's upgrade the best we can. We get Sticko on the secondary AWP. He picks it up from time to time. Obviously, used to be the main AWP for this team. But aliStair with a beautiful 4K. The run boost coming out for Yelp, and Hats even turns out to the left-hand side. Does get traded for the 1-for-1.
And that's the thing right now. Sure, the ops might just be able to continue going, but the biggest problem that Renegades had is, of course, yes, they won pistol, they won the follow-up, lost the next round, and then were able to string 2 rounds together, but that didn't really give them enough money to actually get the ops going. And right now, though, aliStair straight back in, super aggressive, and able to find that kill as well. So now MIBR Brazil are down to 3. The advantage is back for Renegades. And aliStair, I'm actually surprised that he's still so close, but he seems to be right where he wants to be. And just set in his own element.
They've just filtered them into the B site now, haven't they? When you push the AWP that aggressive, you set up the crossfire, and then there's another AWP on B.
Oh, is he going in? And where has this dominance been? I mean, literally, they're just hitting everything right now. And MIBR Brazil, of course, they're taking their final timeout right now. I mean, they had, what, 4 rounds to close things out in regular time. And in the end, it was the same story as earlier in their game up against Spirits. Just this time out, they're not able to string 3 rounds together in the first half of OT1. Seems to just be going one way, and that's the way of Renegades. Of course, there's plenty of money on the T side, and they'll be able to afford anything that they want. But what do you do if you're MIBR Brazil right now?
I don't know what, like, it's something you can't just fix in the space of 10 minutes, but they had, what, 8 match points up against Spirit, could not close in that best of 1. They've now had 4 rounds of opportunities, 4 map points on Vertigo. They still have not closed, and that's got to be frustrating when you've had so many chances to convert a victory, and it just has not happened. And you've only got to imagine that this is just firing the Renegades up, knowing that you're coming back from 11-15 down, you brought it all the way to OT, now you've got Ali on the AWP, Sicko's been pretty decent too, In's even having a great sequence out from Banger at the B site near the stairs. 2 more rounds to get it up to 19, and what a recovery this would be. Again, this is Renegades' map pick.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, if they would have lost it, then surely onto Mirage as well, MIBR would just be the stronger side and close things out in a 2-0 fashion. But now, at least, Renegades had the best chances to close things out in their own favor on their own map pick, of course. And then who knows what happens on Mirage. Of course, anything is possible at that rate as well. And we could even see Renegades showing us a bonkers performance on Mirage as well. And if aliStair continues with his AWP like that, then Mirage will be very, very strong for them, I'm sure.
Jeez, what a start
again. Question.
Yeah. Just feeling it. Just wanting to play aggro, looking hungry for the opening pick in for another one. And that's going to be another multi-kill coming out for aliStair. MIBR, they've got to be able to try and force them off angle with some util.
Yeah, again. Just continuing on, and surely this is now going to be 18 here as aliStair looking for the ace of the AWP, and he manages to do so as well. What a way to come back into this. I mean, from 15-11 for MIBR Brazil, it's now 7 rounds in a row for Renegades, and aliStair has just become a different beast.
Oh my goodness. Wow, what a performance we've seen from him in overtime. And for Renegades, this is a perfect opportunity of just slamming this map out of the water, getting it over the line, getting 19-15, and just going into Mirage feeling really positive, really like you've got an intent to win the series now. MIBR really struggling. They've got none of those tap pauses to work with. Early ramp default looking through. aliStair waiting for the over-aggression. So many CTs in and around. The smoke ins to get the first. SHN at least gets the trade back.
Yeah, and still right now, of course, the ult from aliStair might not be as successful here on the T side. However, I mean, I just love for him to find an aggressive peek and still find a couple more kills. He's now all by himself towards his A bomb site. Everybody else is rotated over towards B. The CTs are unsure right now as they are starting to push in towards ramp. They've certainly heard his scope by now. And I'm ready to get my mind blown once more.
That's all just a fake, isn't it, though? Draw the attention, allow a little bit of a wrap to come through out towards the B stairs, and aliStair does miss his opportunity. Oh, they line up, he gets a 2 for 1, and now they can start working out towards the B site. boltz opens it up, boltz is the last one left.
Yeah, and Renegades, all they need is this, and now finally winning their own map pick, and what a way to return into this game. It's been a blast, and I just don't know. I mean, for one part, Made in Brazil, what is going on? I mean, they've dealt with pressure like this before, but what has just happened to them here?